These are the facts about the Codex Gigas, a medieval manuscript so enormous that creating it required slaughtering 160 animals, and so mysterious that it became known as the Devil's Bible. At 165 pounds and standing 3 feet tall, this is the largest medieval book ever made, and its dark reputation has haunted libraries for 8 centuries. Picture a book so massive that 2 people are needed just to lift it. The Codex Gigas measures 36 inches long, 20 inches wide, and nearly 9 inches thick. When opened, it covers more space than most coffee tables. But size alone didn't earn this manuscript its sinister nickname. That honor belongs to a full-page illustration of Satan himself, crouching with red claws extended and forked tongues protruding from his mouth like a serpent. The numbers behind this medieval masterpiece are staggering. Its 310 surviving parchment pages are made entirely from vellum, which is processed animal skin. Specifically, the skins of 160 donkeys or calves, covering a total surface area of 1,535 square feet. 10 pages have mysteriously vanished over the centuries, cut from the binding by unknown hands for unknown purposes. To understand why so many animals died for one book, we need to grasp the brutal reality of medieval manuscript production. In the 13th century, every page required the death of at least one animal. The skins were soaked in lime water for days to loosen the fur, then stretched on frames and scraped clean with knives. This process was laborious, expensive, and deadly for livestock across Europe. German historian Bernhard Bischoff calculated that the famous Codex Amiatinus required sacrificing 500 sheep for its 2,060 pages. Medieval scribes routinely used sheep, calves, and goats, turning monastery scriptoriums into processing centers for both spiritual texts and animal hides. This explains why medieval books were so rare and valuable, because each one represented a small massacre. The Codex Gigas was born in the early 13th century at the Benedictine monastery of Podlajica in Bohemia, now the Czech Republic. Legend claims it was written in a single night by a monk named Herman the Recluse, who supposedly made a deal with the devil to complete the impossible task. According to the tale, Herman faced execution for breaking his monastic vows, and promised to write a book containing all human knowledge in one night to save his life. When midnight approached and the task proved impossible, Satan appeared to finish the work in exchange for Herman's soul. Modern scholars have demolished this romantic fiction with cold mathematics. National Geographic estimates that recreating the Codex Gigas would require 5 years of continuous writing, day and night, without breaks for food or sleep. Realistically, the manuscript took at least 25 to 30 years to complete. Analysis of the handwriting confirms it was indeed the work of a single scribe, but one who labored for decades, not hours. The manuscript's contents reveal the medieval mind's hunger for comprehensive knowledge. The complete Latin Bible forms the core, but the scribe also included Flavius Josephus's Histories of the Jews, Isidore of Seville's Encyclopedia, medical treatises, magical formulas, exorcism instructions, and a necrology listing dead monks from Podlajica. It was essentially Wikipedia bound in animal skin. Most striking are the full-page illustrations. The devil appears as a massive figure with dark green curled hair, wide red eyes, and 4-fingered claws. His ermine loincloth, a fabric associated with royalty, emphasizes his role as Prince of Darkness. 2 red tongues snake from his mouth, evoking serpentine deception. Directly opposite sits an illustration of Heaven's kingdom, creating a visual battle between good and evil every time the book opens. The Codex Gigas became a pawn in European power struggles. In 1295, the financially struggling monks of Podlajica pawned their masterpiece to a rival Cistercian monastery for quick cash. Before handing it over, they likely cut out the pages containing the Rule of Saint Benedict, their specific monastic guidelines that competitors shouldn't access. This explains the mysterious missing pages that still puzzle historians. Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II acquired the manuscript in 1594, drawn by his obsession with occult curiosities. His Prague castle treasury housed everything from exotic animals to supernatural artifacts, and the Devil's Bible fit perfectly among his dark collections. Rudolph's fascination with the manuscript reflected the era's blurred lines between scholarship and sorcery. The 30 Years' War changed everything. On July 16, 1648, 100 Swedish soldiers scaled Prague's walls in a surprise dawn attack. Within hours, 3,000 more troops joined the plundering. Queen Christina of Sweden had a habit of stealing books as war booty to enhance her royal library, and the Codex Gigas was among the most prized targets. The massive manuscript was hauled north to Stockholm, where it has remained for nearly 4 centuries. Even in Swedish custody, the Devil's Bible couldn't escape drama. On May 7, 1697, fire consumed the Tre Kronor royal castle. As flames approached the library, desperate staff threw the Codex Gigas from a 4th-story window. Swedish vicar Johan Erikssons witnessed the 165-pound manuscript crash to the ground, injuring an unlucky bystander. The book survived with damage, but its close call with destruction became part of its legend. Swedish folklore embraced the manuscript's supernatural reputation. An 1858 text described a guard who fell asleep in the library and awoke to find the codex floating through the air, leading other books in a ghostly dance. The traumatized guard supposedly remained feeble-minded from that day on and had to be admitted to the madhouse. When the Swedish Royal Library moved to new premises on New Year's Day 1878, Chief Librarian Gustav Klemming orchestrated a theatrical procession. He walked through Stockholm preceded by the caretaker, who pulled the mighty Devil's Bible along on a sleigh, striking what he called the final note for the National Library's relocation. Modern preservation efforts reveal how fragile the ancient vellum has become. Exposure to light has tanned the animal skin pages over centuries, creating a mottled appearance. Today, visitors to Stockholm's National Library can view the Codex Gigas in a climate-controlled glass vault, but it's usually displayed closed to prevent further light damage. Interactive screens nearby offer high-resolution digital access to every page. The manuscript's return to Prague in 2007 marked an emotional homecoming after 359 years. Thousands of Czechs queued to see their cultural treasure, protected by an armored display case. Miroslava Hejnova, director of the Czech National Library's historical resources, called it the 8th wonder of the world. The 3-month exhibition reminded visitors that some books are worth killing for, literally. Contemporary debates about the Codex Gigas focus on restitution rather than supernatural origins. Former Czech President Václav Havel attempted to persuade Sweden to return historically significant artifacts in the 1990s, but Stockholm refused. Return is impossible, Hejnova explains, noting that European libraries are filled with war spoils that have found new homes, where they've been preserved longer than they might have been in their original locations. The Codex Gigas stands as a monument to medieval ambition, the cost of knowledge, and the thin line between scholarship and obsession. Its 160 animal sacrifices seem barbaric today, but they enabled the preservation of texts that might otherwise have vanished. The Devil's Bible reminds us that every book has a price, sometimes paid in blood, sometimes in souls, but always in the lives of those who create and preserve human knowledge. In our digital age, when information flows freely and books require no slaughter, the Codex Gigas remains a powerful reminder of knowledge's true cost and the extraordinary lengths our ancestors traveled to capture wisdom on the page.